a lot. I think it has a lot to do with their confidence, as God said. When they see a hero like the Centaur, they just pick it straight away. They don't hesitate. They're like, okay, in this draft, no one's picking Centaur.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah.
We want to play air game. We have confidence in all our players, and they can play anything basically.
I feel like there might be a little bit of tension for them if they lose the opening game against EG. Is that the sort of thing that's going to upset them?
I think they're fine. There could be a best of 3 team, so they'll have something prepared for game number 2. As much as they're crazy unpredictable, they prepare these strats. So they'll have a very different strategy in game 2 to game 1 should they lose it, I imagine.
If you looked at the TNC game, you saw how prepared they were. Or like
MVP game.
MVP game, yeah. Against QO, they had the Quap and they had the Puck. They knew exactly what to do against the team. They predicted it.
They beat MVP at their own game, and it showed preparation, strength, and just they got it.
Okay, we've got 30 seconds very quickly, Shane. Which way?
2-1 wings, but it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a long, hard game.
It's going to be ugly. We like it.
I have doubted EG all the way through. Yeah. I think I'm gonna flip them. I'm gonna go for G. I think they got this.
Okay, gods.
Look, I'm gonna go with my instinct, my gut. It's telling me EG.
Okay. So Gods is going with instinct this time rather than voting against the North American team. Let's find out whether he's right as we head into the upper bracket final for our first draft.
EG's turn to pick.
Fight! All right, Evil Geniuses versus Wings, gentlemen. This is going to be a doozy. I am super excited about this. We're back at our drafting desk. We've got Blitz, we've got Merlini, and we've got Winner. Welcome back, my friends. Will, a lot of people, including us, feel like both these teams have been very dominant. When you look at this series, a lot of people are thinking that it could be just lopsided one way or the other. Do you think that could be the case, or do you think that this is going to be a close one?
I think this is going to be the first real test for both teams. I feel like this is the matchup that once everything kind of shook up, I expected to see. EG looked very good post-group stage, and as did Wings. They started rolling off of that win after they beat DC 2-1, even after that Techies punch draft, and DC have looked like a very good team, so I feel like this is going to be one of our closer matches.
I'm really looking forward to. We already obviously have a draft underway here. Wings have picked up the Timbersaw, followed by the Rubik, while EG go back for what's been coming up as a staple here for Zai in the Wisp, followed by the Sand King.
EG's turn
Very
to
early
bat.
Rubik picked by Wings. Not sure what they're going to prepare for. In the previous game where they picked Rubik, they ran it with the Chen. They roam around, they gank the pressure, they push towers with the Nullfield and the Chen creeps. So wondering if Wings are going to do the same thing here. Not that great against Sand King, because Sand King can easily defend the pushes if he gets a very good start with the Blink.
I think Rubik itself is pretty good versus the Sand King though. It's one of the best spells to steal, I think, Burrow Strike. They also, I think, prepared well for the IO pick. I think Timbersaw is one of the best heroes to deal with it. Normally you're paired up with Strength Hero, not all the time there's Ursa and whatnot, but he's incredibly good at bursting the Wisp down.
Yeah, obviously for those of you newer to the game, believe it or not, Wisp is a strength hero. Doesn't have any arms to do any lifts or gains, but this guy is a ball of serious power.
Maybe with the Arcana.
Maybe with the Arcana he'll suddenly become Intel, who knows, right?
Oh, was that decided yet?
I don't know. It said it will be revealed at the International.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Ben, you're awful. You're seriously awful.
Why? Because I voted Wisp?
Yeah.
You voted Wisp? I thought you said Jug was your boy the other day.
I know, but Wisp is... Dude, Jug has all these sweet items already.
See, I'm on that train too.
Yeah,
he has
spread
a lot
the
of
love,
items.
man.
Let's spread the love. I actually play a little bit of Wisp.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Excuse me, have you been in my pubs? Have you been down there? Down below in the trenches? No, you have not. Shut up. Taking their time, though, has moved through the second phase of bans. Wings got rid of the Faceless Void. EG, well, speaking of the devil, that Jug, he's going to be out of this one, just like he's out of the Arcana.
Oh, come on, guys. I think EG, though, this is a very solid opener. We've seen how strong the Sand King has been this entire tournament. For me, he's kind of been that surprise pick, where he pairs up very well against these 1v1 matchups when you put him in pretty much anything aside from what we saw the Axe matchup that he ended up losing. But
yeah, I was kind of surprised he lost that matchup, though.
I remember we were both talking about it, though. Like, that was actually really one-sided.
Like, mostly we see the Sand Kings as a reaction towards Timbers. Like, teams have been just picking the hero in specific respawn against the Timbers. Also, you get a very good 1v1 matchup, and if Timber loses his lane, the hero just falls off very quickly.
Just can't help but be curious, Wings. Are they going to be pulling out the conventional stuff or not here? It's game 1, so you have a little bit of wiggle room if you wanted to kind of test the waters against a team like EG to see what kind of funky approach you could take to the draft.
I mean, Wings are like the master strategists. They know what to pick against the playstyle. You might not understand what they are picking, but when you look at the game, you're like, oh, that's why they picked those heroes. That's why it worked.
If we're just figuring it out, everyone spectating is just figuring it out, I'm sure even for a team like EG or whoever they're opposing is like, by the time you figure out what's happening, it might be too late.
EG is not an easy team to pick a strategy. Yeah, to out-strategize them, man. The Jug ban there by EG in the second phase is usually it means that when you're trying to play a game where you're trying to gank around with relocate, Jug is one of those carries that is much harder to gank because of the spin.
Yeah.
It's harder to initiate and get the relocate on him.
Wings must have used a lot of reserve time there. We can't really see, but it took a long time to get rid of that storm.
They're thinking a lot, but it makes a lot of sense. They have IO, global presence, and like I said before, when you want to pick storm, you need a hero that can make the storm strong in the game, like Kotal, CM, IO, heroes that can give him mana.
Reserve time.
I like the Faceless Void ban from Wings. Actually, I expected to see it first phase, but I think that Universe has just been incredibly solid on the Faceless Void, and
that's an understatement. I just feel like at this point,
really difficult to go into late game against it.
He was the best void of the whole event so far.
Yep.
Wings Gaming's turn.
Now,
are we anticipating that's an offlane Sanking then? Just because the IO is most likely going to be played by...
Well, what do you think about support Sanking, Blitz?
I think the downside is that you have Zai that's going to be playing the IO.
Yeah.
And then you would have to shift...
that is actually true. That is a good point.
PPD on either of those would be a bit awkward.
PPD never plays the IO.
Yes, and I don't think he's the Sanking type player. I feel like they're going to pick some defensive support for him, or some sort of positional teamfight support.
So do you think this is like an oversight by Wings?
Razor! Potentially, but Razor's going to be the pickup, and EG, I think they still need Fear's Hero. I think melee right now is kind of a mistake just because you are going to struggle quite a bit against this Razor and this Timbersaw. You want to play the space game against both those heroes.
So you're more or less certain that the Sanking is definitely going to be Universe on.
I think it's highly like...
I'm with Will on this one. I really don't see much of PPD Wisp at all, and I certainly don't see PPD play Sanking. Given in his pubs, he'll play random and play everything, so I know he knows how to play the heroes, but in these kind of games, these high caliber kind of games, I don't think it's for him.
Fair point.
I think maybe if it was Timber mid, you could even see potentially Sumail, but I think with the Razor pickup, you could completely just change that. And yeah, we just see what's most likely going to be the PPD hero in that Skywrath Mage.
Yeah.
Timber counter, great silence, great burst from spell damage. That's what you want to have as a support against Timbersaw. It's great at zoning him if it's offlane Timber.
It's funny, it was last TI when EG were starting to make this far into the tournament, and once teams were recognizing that we needed to ban techies against them every time, that's when they started pulling out Skywrath Mage a lot for Owie at the time. So obviously still considered a comfort pick for EG overall.
It's good versus Timbersaw, but it also doesn't have that great synergy with the Wisp. Like, you want heroes that can set up for the relocate a lot.
Really, you don't think so? Like early game where you roam around with the...
Oh, I think early game, yeah. Mid game, I think it's very weak, especially versus Razor.
I guess he's gonna just rely on like other heroes to set up the stun for him so he can drop his ultimate on top of that. But Wings, 5-man lineup incoming with the Tide Hunter. Great versus the relocate. Mech Carrier.
So now what does EG need to begin to consider? It's pretty obvious that the push is coming.
Yep.
You know, the 5-man's coming. How do we prepare?
They want to pick heroes. Like with Skywrath, Sanking, and the relocate, you have the ability to pick heroes all the time because you don't rely on big cooldowns. Skywrath ultimate is on a short cooldown, so you want to split push, you want to pick heroes off the map, and you want to prolong the game.
Oh goodness, Andy comes out here to play. And Black's not even on the panel to appreciate it, but EG go down the road of getting the anti-mage here for Fear.
Great pick here. You want to split push, and I mean, you have decent mana void targets, Timbersaw.
I think the big thing is that all of Wings' cores are very immobile, with the exception of the Timbersaw, and if the Anti-Mage has a decent timing on his items, he doesn't really mind Timber as a hero, because you just can't catch up and kill, and especially since the Timbersaw is going to have to go at least one defensive item minimum, because he's playing against that Skywrath Mage.
Lotus or Yules.
Yeah, you go for the Yules or the BKB, but either way, it kind of slows down what you want to go for in the Hex when you go for the Ultra late, and I think this type of game, Wings have picked these 3 really tanky run-at-you cores that are super immobile, like Winter mentioned, so you just have to play the split push game.
But do you think right now Wings has to pressure the AM's lane? Because EG has so much late game, like you don't want to go late game against that. So you want to win the game early, you want to pressure them in the lane, make sure you crush the lanes, transition into push, get towers, get Roshan. Like Rubik Razor could be a good, like if you get another strong hero, could be a good good lane.
And then put Timber mid.
Yeah, I guess depending on the matchup. I mean, it might be risky because you're not sure of what's the last hero yet.
We anticipate the Sumail hero, I'd imagine, right? And Wings actually banned out the Nature's Prophet last, so it's still kind of weird for Wings. I don't know how they're reading the draft of
Just
EG.
more split push, I think.
Yeah, they're just worried about split push, but the hero plus player combination doesn't work.
Yeah, that's where it gets a bit interesting. They also don't have what I feel like is a typical Wisp pairing, so do you get Sumail something to kind of put with the Wisp?
Sanking is a decent Wisp pairing, I think, in the early game. But obviously later in the game, you want to have the Sanking set up the relocate gang where the Io brings in someone else.
Yeah. Who is that someone else? Is it
10 seconds
Tiny?
remaining.
Does he fit in here? I know it's another hero that we don't see Sumail's name above too often, but he's played many heroes many times.
I
that we
actually
haven't
might like Invoker here, like Crossback's Invoker. You burn their mana and you have Mana Void on top of that. It's pretty good at holding the Tidehunter push early game.
Yeah, Tidehunter really hates that just because you're not going to have enough for your mech as well.
And they're
as
so
your
like a
entire
team
team.
fight.
10 seconds remaining.
They could go for, I don't know, something like, let's say Ursa, more traditional IO pairing perhaps, but like the Invoker, I think they're going to have to team fight at some point. You can't completely rely on aim just because you're...
Wait, what is...
Uh-oh, something fishy's happening here. Who's going mid?
I thought for a second it was going to be something like Dusa, but...
Could be mid Sand King, offlane Weaver, then safe lane AM.
And you pair the IO with the Weaver and just abuse that bottom
Just
lane?
whomever. Sand King or
10
Weaver.
seconds
I mean,
remaining.
whatever it is, right now Wings just have to get very strong lanes and punish their laning base.
But they were right, it was a universe hero. That they banned last. How do they know that?
I don't know.
Team fight, fight Enigma.
Oh, a black hole could be in store for us. Finally, on the main stage. Gentlemen, the draft's before us. Who's walking away with a game 1 win?
Wings. I'm just going with Wings.
I'm going with Wings.
I like how you guys do the wings when you do. You like throw your hands in the air like, I don't know, wings.
How are you guys even doubting EG? They're here once again. They're gonna get to back-to-back finals, not seen since Navi did it.
We both...
It's because we predicted them.
Yeah, we both predicted
Oh, okay.
All right. Fair enough, gentlemen. We'll see how the game does pan out. Let's throw it over to our casters now. It's Odie and Drasco.
Thank you very much indeed, Dakota. Evil Geniuses versus the Wings Gaming here in the upper bracket finals. Andy, this is going to be absolutely mental. We've had the 2 drafts come out. Again, it's something very different from both sides. What the hell is going to happen in this series?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but as you can hear, the crowd behind us is also kind of favoring EG here a little bit. I think their draft is a little bit easier to execute outside of the 5-man from Wings. If they can make sure that they don't lose too much during the early game, then I think that EG have a very good chance between their 2 mobile cores to pull out this win.
Let's talk about this final pick from Wings. I don't think anyone on the panel expected it. The Enigma coming out. This panel was saying that Wings, they need to be able to punish EG early on in the laning stage. How's the Enigma going to help them do that?
I think they might have been anticipating that the Sand King would be mid, and if that's the case, there's more than likely not going to be too much roaming going on. Should mean that Ice gets a very, very good start, gets an early mech, or even a pipe in this game isn't too bad if he wants to go for it. And realistically, they just want to push. They want the 5-man to come online as soon as humanly possible. They see the Weaver, they see the AM. These heroes really don't have any manner of deep-push until later. You really need farm on both of them, and they're just going to try to abuse that timing as much as they can.
But in terms of kind of the ability to pull it off, you feel that Wings, they're definitely the ones that are going to be under more pressure with this kind of draft. And EG, they have more ways to win the games in terms of falling back as it goes later.
Well, the differences in lineups is obviously Wings 5-man is ridiculously strong, like Tidehunter, Ravage, Black Hole. I mean, if you look at EG's lineup, they have a couple of ways of interrupting the Black Hole. You got your Mana Void, of course, Sand King Stun, and Skywrath Silence, but 2 of those are going to be blocked by BKB at some stage in the game. So I'm looking to Wings and I'm saying, yeah, they need to apply pressure for sure.
Always a smell. Managed to make that one there.
Yeah.
We'll see at the start, both either side getting one at the runes. Let's have a look at these lanes, because Wings already, we can see that they will be sending the Razor up to the top lane. So wanting to put him head-to-head with the safe lane of EG. It's going to be dual lanes at the moment coming out from them. So Scarif and Anti-Mage in this top lane. Looks like Razor will be backed up by Rubik, so the 2 of them going to go head-to-head. Is this a decisive choice from Wings to tackle the Anti-Mage head-on in this laning stage?
It's a very hard lane, I think, for EG to deal with. The Skywrath is going to eventually run out of mana, I feel. And his harass is pretty good during the early stages, but there's no way with 0 armor he can just sit there and trade. So you can see right now, he's taking a tremendous amount just from right clicks. So I think Innocence and Shadow up here on the side of Wings are going to have a pretty darn good time, and there's not much that Fear and PPD are going to be able to do contest.
Okay, all things considered, you got the top lane there. Obviously, Ice straight into the jungle on Enigma, leaving this mid lane matchup, Timbersaw versus Sand King, two heroes that are good against melee, but who's coming out with the edge here? Or do you think we'll just see even amounts of farm for both sides?
I've seen this matchup go both ways so far, and personally, I think the Sand King should have a slight advantage if he plays well. But sometimes if you eat a couple of Whirling Deaths in the laning phase, it can be a little bit troublesome for the Sand King. I think one of the major differences is before, Sand Kings weren't getting caustic, but now they are, so there's no like hopping in a sandstorm and accidentally eating a couple of Timber Chains and stuff like that. Not to mention for Blink, you can't really use Timber Chain to harass in this lane, because you're mid. Maybe if he was like top or bottom, that would be possible in this matchup, but here, it's just not going to happen. So probably Sumail will end up pulling ahead.
And we can see as well Zai on his eye. I did come over to spot out the whereabouts and the going-ons of Ice. I mean, obviously Zai is unlikely he's going to be able to do anything in terms of bringing down the Enigma, but is the plan really to just hang around, sap some of the XP, and maybe even try and steal a few CS from the jungle creeps?
There's not much else he can do. I feel like even if he were to go top, it wouldn't necessarily result in them being able to get a kill just because they have an anti-mage as a safe lane farmer instead of something else with like a disable or a spin like a Juggernaut, for example. So I think it's an alright game plan. And plus he can also control the bottom room very, very reliably in this position, and he's going to be relying on those bounties to get some golden XP during the early game.
We can certainly see in the mid lane at the moment, Sumail has got the edge, 14 for 1 against 8 for 0, so the Caustic Finale certainly working wonders for the Sand King at the moment against this Timbersaw. And then this bottom lane, of course, Universe against Faith Beyond. Universe being able to find the farm, 10 for 0, actually slightly ahead of Faith Beyond as well, so we are going to see at least a Weaver get the farm in the laning stage, and also looks like up top there, he's still able to get the CS, even though the pressure's being put on by Wings.
It's not too bad at the moment, and as long as he builds properly, like he's going for the poor mans, you can already see he's picked up the Ring of Regeneration. He understands he's going to be taking a heck of a lot of harass here. We could end up just seeing, oh wow, Blink is very low here.
And it certainly seems that this matchup definitely is favoring Sumail on the Sand King. We'll see if it begins to change up once Blink gets a few more levels. But at the moment, of course, just a lot of harassment from Sumail and very much winning the game in this earlier stage. In this mid lane, and go out back into the jungle. Sumail's actually going to come across for a rotation. They're looking for Ice, and this could certainly look like a first blood potential with a Burrow Strike. Zai coming around from the sidelines. Ice trying to run himself away, but Sumail moves in, claims the first blood, and a very smart rotation there from the mid Sand King.
There's very good communication from EG. Not only do they have Zai following him around, they also have a ward deep inside of the jungle. They recognize the fact that Ice is out of mana. There's not really anything he can do, and just Zai's presence so far has been crippling the jungle speed of this Enigma. If you are only getting, like, if you're level 3 or 4 minutes as Enigma, you are having a very, very slow early game.
And back towards, well, I mean, towards Zai coming just to top Universe up a little bit, keep him in this strong position down on the bottom. Towards the top lane. Looks like we may see things kick off a little bit. TP's coming through. As Zai's going to come and join the fray up on the top lane. They're going to force Wings back. I mean, taking a lot of harassment here. Both Y and Shadow incredibly low. We'll see how deep Fear wants to go. Looks like he's going to play it safe. Backs up. But EG are certainly starting to get good control of this top lane. 16 CS on Fear. Still 17 for 10 on the Razor, but it's very close.
The biggest problem that Wings are running into, again, is just the Enigma. So the rotation from Zai is going to give him a little bit of breathing room to catch back up. Should be able to get level 5 or 6, I think, before Zai is even able to make it back towards that side of the map. And the Enigma is incredibly important, especially as someone that's supposed to be your mech carrier. Like, if Hyde's just going to go Arcanes and maybe for a Hood instead and leave the mech for the Enigma, then it's absolutely critical that Ice does well.
It's going to be very interesting to see as well how Wings are able to deal with obviously the fact that there's a Weaver and an Anti-Mage. You know, two very elusive heroes that if they get the farm under their belt, they're going to be very, very scary as the game goes on. And at the moment, you know, Universe, he's getting a lot of farm down on this bottom lane. There's not a lot that the Tide can do to stop him from getting the CS. Obviously, Fake Beyond himself is getting a fair bit of farm, but we can see Universe playing it very nicely indeed down on this bottom lane. Mid lane, Sumail and Zai go for another bit of a go on to Blink. Again, the Caustic Finale just doing so much to him, but not quite enough to kill him. I mean, Sumail, he's got a Burrow Strike in a couple of seconds. He was thinking about it, but in fact, he may be punished for this one. Y and Ice with the response, but Zai's there, healing Sumail up, allowing him to Burrow Strike to safety. And Wings unable to punish the aggression of Sumail.
You can tell how aggressive of a player Sumail is, because Zai was backing off And Sumail's like, no, I'm going in for this kill for sure. Fortunately, they didn't lose anything for the over-aggressive play there.
PPD is also headed over there just in case anything else went downside. Guys onto Ice Ice, sending him away. But as you said, this is certainly not necessarily the start that Enigma would have wanted. He still managed to find good farm.
I mean, he's second highest in the game in terms of CS, so it's more about the experience more than anything, and Zai was able to soak like a level or a level and a half or so from the jungle before they eventually killed him. So I think that EG are still alright, but you also have to keep in mind that even if Wings don't have a perfect start, their 5-man potential with the Black Hole and the Ravage at an early stage in the game against cores like Weaver and AM, those heroes do not shine at that early stage in the game. So Wings timing is still more or less going to be a problem for them.
Sumail again in the mid, trying for a play with the epicenter, but it's a quick timber chain out for Blink, as he's going to be AOK top lane, moving in with the Ancient Seal onto Shadow. They don't quite have enough damage to bring down Razor. I think the question is as well, Andy, what do you expect to see come out in terms of build for the Tide and the Enigma? I mean, who's picking up the mech? Is anyone going to get an early Blink prioritized in their build lineup? How are we going to see these two heroes work together?
I mean, an early Blink on the Enigma wouldn't be bad if the Tide is getting enough farm to secure the mech for the team. I think, honestly, you have pretty flexible itemization options on Wings, and they're a team who do like to itemize a bit differently than most other squads here at TI, so I wouldn't be surprised to see something a little bit different coming out from either Ice Ice or Faith Beyond this game.
But overall, at the start at least, from the first 7.5 minutes, EG, the only ones to get themselves a kill. Wings still finding a lot in the lanes, and obviously, as we said, with Ice Ice rotating around the jungle camps. But the question is it enough for Wings at this stage? The panel said that Wings need to win this laning stage. Is it going good enough for them, or are EG feeling pretty comfortable with the way that they're controlling the situation?
Well, the pressure hasn't really been applied yet from Wings. That's the real test. You know, Black Hole and Ravage came online just a couple of seconds ago. And with those two abilities and one core item up on either the Tide or the Enigma, that's what we're really going to see if they're doing enough. Because the lanes are actually still favoring Wings. The Enigma's recovery has been great, and we are going to see a smoke wrap around here.
Sumail joining the fray up top. He has not got Epicenter available, but a good burrow strike should be enough. They're eyeing them both up. Going to just go for the kill onto the Rubik. Why? Eliminated from this top lane. Successful gank from EG, keeping control of the laning situation. Shadow's still hanging around, but actually let's see maybe Wings go for something in return. They have a Ravage, they have a Black Hole. They're going to look for the combo here, bringing in Blink as well on the Timber Saw. EG, though, they're already backed away. Fear's still in lane, and that is the kill that Wings will be very happy if they can get. Cutting down the trees with the Midnight Pulse, closing in onto Fear. He's going to blink away, and looks like Wings, they can't close the gap on this, so a little bit of an awkward attempt, but at the least they'll be able to transition to push. In fact, yeah, Blink with the cut-off nearly actually finds Fear, but Zai comes in to give the space for Fear to get himself out of there. So Wings don't get themselves a kill, but they should have a good shot of finishing off this tier 1 up top and shutting down some of this safe lane that EG is going to have to work with.
And EG are making the proper response though. Like, Universe is stuck bottom. He doesn't really want to try to contest against this top lane push. He realizes it. Innocence, not again.
I know he's on his own down here. EG move in, and Universe and PPD take themselves an easy kill. Reacting to the fact that Wings have brought the rest of the team up top. Shadow will come down bottom. Make sure that EG don't turn this into anything more than just a kill. No tower potential pushing from the side of EG down there at the moment.
Wings need to be very careful about giving too many picks, because EG have extremely mobile heroes, and split push is one of the best ways to deal with Wings lineup, especially once the AM starts getting more and more farm. Like, Fear getting the Battle Fury timing is going to be one of the most crucial points in the game for them, because then they can start pushing out the waves, they can start forcing reactions out of Wings, and stopping their insane 5-man potential from ever really get going.
There's Sumail as well, of course. 1900 gold nearly. He's very close to having the Blink Dagger complete. And of course, Epicenter back off cooldown. So as soon as that comes out, you can expect to see EG look for another play. But certainly at the moment, it does feel like EG in strong control of the game. Wings, we've seen them apply the pressure top. But still yet to find a kill, and that's going to mean that both Universe and Fear are going to have pretty good progression on the Weaver and the Anti-Mage. Yeah, if they're getting kills like this, again, the second time down here, White got out. Shadow's around as well. He's on his own. I mean, EG may look to go for more. Sumail's got an Arcane Rune. He has got Burrow Strikes for days. Shadow keeping it out, hanging back. At the same time, Wings looking for some kind of action trade as they look for the tier 1, but EG's coming in. Gotta be careful about this one. Ravage. Fabian from the tree line though. Moving in on Smell. He's got him. They'll get themselves the first kill, Wings. And it's a big one as well. Taking down Samael. Samael, it looks like he was able to pick up the Blink Dagger just before he went down though. So a little bit of fortunate news there for the Sand King. But still a good kill for Wings. As they look to now put some pressure onto the tier 2 as well. And indeed, with the Eidolons out, a very strong push at this stage of the game. We'll see if EG can do enough to stem this aggression and force Wings to back. And it does look like that's going to be the case.
And with no Ravage, it's a little bit too dangerous to stick around. That does signify the completion of the mech there for Enigma, so Ice now has his one core item up that he is really looking for, and you got to give credit to Faith Beyond. Like, he was just sitting there, they say, okay, we're going to sacrifice a Rubik for a tier 1. That's a perfectly acceptable trade for Wings, given their current position. Again, they really need to continue to push, get these towers, and make sure that their ultimates are being used, and Faith Beyond.
Universe and Samael coming in, epicenter pop for this, no wasting around, as they get themselves another pick on this bottom lane, and Universe, he's having a great time. He's 2-0-1. He's been given a lot of free space down here. Third highest on the net worth. 5-1 EG. Starting to feel the pressure maybe a little bit with these pushes coming in from Wings, but it really is all about those ultimate timings, as you said. You know, when Wings have the Ravage, they're going to look for the pushes. But for the whole time when that ultimate's not available, EG feel a lot more comfortable around the map to get objectives complete and to find farm on their cores safely.
A cooldown reliance is the one biggest problem that Wings have. Without your ultimates, you just feel very weak. And during that time, EG are going to try to do everything in their power to punish you for it. The problem that they're having right now is that they don't really have a whole heck of a lot of vision. In fact, their last ward on the map, actually, oh, they just placed another one, but one of their last remaining wards is going to be fading very soon, and it makes it very hard to punish Wings if you don't have that vision.
Size, PPD getting a position, Samael's there to initiate with the Burrow Strike. Mystic Flare coming down. Mech certainly isn't going to be enough to save the Enigma. It's EG. These picks happen during this downtime, indeed, as we said, well, Wings don't have the ults. They themselves trying to split up, but as we're seeing EG just with a better pick-off potential than a 24/7. Ravage will be back up for Faith Beyond in 10 seconds. And then we can maybe expect to see Wings come down to this bottom lane, maybe look for a tier 1, and maybe look to try and tackle EG if EG come in for the defense.
I don't think that EG really have any interest in fighting these really big engagements. They're mostly looking for, okay, now that Relocate's available on Zai, obviously we could see a little bit of a wraparound to try to get a pick. But more often than not, if Wings are there in mass and they don't have Epicenter, I don't think they would try to contest. If Sumail has his ulti, it's possible, but it's still very hard, especially given the fact that there's a mech and they also have a Rubik on the side of Wings. Important to note that no field is going to make a huge difference in a lot of these team fights.
And here we have Wings, once again, repeating what they're able to achieve up top and towards the middle. Zai, Universe and Samael already here, but at the same time, Fear's going to remain up towards the top half of the map, just continuing to farm upon the anti-mage. And will allow the space for the tower to go down. Fear now TPing away, joining the rest of EG, so the full 5-man coming down. They want to fight, they'll jump in, look to get a pick onto Y, they'll take the Rubik. EG looking to move in for more, Universe closing the gap with the Shikuchi, Samael. And sped up by Zai, he should be able to blink in a second and get another Burrow Strike off as they're looking for more. It's going to catch Universe, but it's all get the kill. Wings so far from from Fear. Bursts down Ice. Blink needs to clean up for more. Fear jumps aside. Samael Burrow Strikes on to Razor, taking him down. Blink looking for a clean-up job. Finds himself another. It's 2 for 2 at the moment. Zai goes for the straight TP out just in time before Y is able to get him with a telekinesis. Now EG beginning to back. Blink looking for more. He jukes out the chakra with the burst damage, bringing him very low. But EG jumping in on that one. They get an Enigma and a race, but they lose both of those farm or heavy cores, both Fear and Universe dying in that altercation.
EG had a really good read on the situation. They saw that Faith Beyond went top. They say, okay, the Tidehunter TP's away from the push, the tower's already dead. And then they say, okay, Sumail, go. We got to get kills right now. We know that there's only going to be one ultimate we have to deal with. We can do this. So they go in, they get a really good kill, but the problem is trading both of your cores for that engagement and only one ult being expended on the side of Wings, ultimately you're going to be more than okay with that. At this point, the Timber all that has is Bloodstone. I'm pretty sure it's actually on the courier right now, so Blink's going to start getting charges, pushing out waves a little bit more, becoming more and more of an issue, especially for heroes like Anti-Mage. You know, he does have Spell Shield, but it does nothing against just the sheer pure damage burst that Wings have with the Timber.
So if you're EG now, after that experience, are you just looking to maybe slow it down a bit, not to jump on Wings, and just make sure you continue to get that timing for Fear and his Battle Fury, and continue to get some more farm on Universe's Weaver. Maybe hope to get to the point where he's got the Lincolns complete, rather than running in, chasing down Wings, even when they're a hero down.
Tower diving was probably not the play in that situation. I mean, the Mana Void kind of utilized it, but...
Wings not.
Yes.
He's a little bit on his own. There'll be a TP coming from some male, so I can get the tether across. Oh!
Did he cancel the tether?
It looked like he did. Zai! Oh, he was playing with him. Oh, okay, here's the turn. Samael. First right. Zai, he knew he was fine. Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh, he wasn't fine then. Face beyond. Jumps in with the rally. Samael getting bursted low. Universe is coming across to see if EG can turn this. They're going to need a few more, though. Blink. Quickly reacted, very hard for the Weaver to take down alone. PPD's making his way over. See what they can do. Universe cutting across. Blink's still in on his own.
There's a sentry in the lane.
And looks like Blink's going to read the situation and walk around the other way. Wings may still try and come in on this. I mean, Shadow's there. Not being backed up. That's the D-Ward just in time. They can't take that one out. Let's see. As EG themselves, they are preparing for this. They've brought 4 heroes back down. They jump in from Samana. Boris time Mystic Flare for PPD. Shadow point level, not quite low enough. Shadow remains alive, taking that jumps in, forces Universe. The time lapse back. No one to die. EG. See what they can get done up here, Fear. Looking to close in on the final component for Battle Fury. Link's coming in to just hold him back, force him away. 9-4. This game looking very, very close at the moment, but as they said on the panel, I can't help but feel that EG, they are being able to find the timings on both the Anti-Mage and the Weaver.
They're doing a really good job at dealing with the pressure that Wings are applying. They're not giving up their tier 2s yet. You know, it's 17, 18 minutes in. Typically, these kinds of lineups, you want to be able to get at least a tier 2 by this point.
Let's see what they can do. They've got an Epicenter and a Mana Void available. Samael and Fear might be able to play this one. Jumping in, there's going to be Relocate coming in from Zai as well. They're going to throw everything at Blink. Trying to
oh, wait, this is a
trade match! A Blink! In a lot of trouble here. He's still going to try and run the Mana Void available. Fear jumps in! But the ball, Shadow takes down Fear, makes it pay him his life. Samael gets brought out just in time by Zai. But it's a trade. You're trading the Anti-Mage for the Timbersaw, call for a core.
I think it's actually better for EG that the Timber dies. Like, having lower Bloodstone charge is very impactful. You really want that mana regen to make sure the lanes are pushed. The bottom lane, too.
Yeah, he's come out. He's on his own. PPD's dying, Samael closing, and he's just going to TP out straight in front of him. He's going to do it as well. Faith Bian knew it was fine all along. My goodness, at the same time, Wings are going to be able to find a tier 2 up on the top lane by the looks of it. Fortification will come out. Most surely stick around and get more money into their pockets. This game is... It's hard to read, and it really feels like it could go either way. You know, Wings, they are finding the timings. They're getting the objectives complete. They've got the lead at the moment. But EG are still finding the farm. We're seeing Universe on a clear 2.1k gold, so Lincoln Sphere can be around the corner if he wants to pick that up first onto the Perseverance. And Battle Fury very, very close for Fear. It's obviously not the quickest timings on the Anti-Mage, but it's still going to come at a time, and there's going to be the time in this game for him to work with it, continue to climb up at the top of the net worth board, and become this unstoppable carry if the game goes on. But Wings, they're not going to want to let that happen, and we're certainly seeing the pressure being amped up.
If you look at the overall lead that Wings have right now, it's almost entirely comprised of just their tower kills. Like, that's what's giving them the net worth lead at this point. EG are doing a very good job of keeping up in overall CS. They have a kill lead, so for now, I feel like Wings are still under a lot of pressure, and you can tell they're grouped up in mass. They want to play to their team's strengths. Right now, they have both of their ultimates available on the Tide and the Enigma. They just bought a Hooded Defiance there on the Tide Hunter as well, so it's much less likely that he's going to get bursted down before he's able to get that ultimate off. And with the Blink Dagger in conjunction with that, it should be quite easy.
These Blinks.
And there's another Hood too on the Timber. These heroes are like incredibly tanky right now.
It feels like Wings are hitting a really strong peak, especially with the ultimate stuff. This is a great time for Wings to fight. Egypt got to be very careful how they react to what Wings do hit.
If they take this fight and it goes poorly, you know, it could just be Wings securing Roshan after the fact. But they get the tier 2 for free. EG don't want to make any sort of commitment. They have a ward on the high ground in their jungle that scouted out probably a couple of items that they were not willing to fight into.
Obviously, as just Wings, they can fight very well around Roshan. I mean, is there really potential for them to take it, or is it a case of just waiting for EG to go into it, and that's how they're going to utilize the Roche area?
It's really hard for EG to get Roshan as well, I feel, unless they get some kind of sneak while Wings are pushing in some other lane. Both teams feeling very hesitant to do that. I think Wings' team fight around the pit is just terrifying. Like, sure, Epicenter is great, but there's hoods on multiple heroes already on the side of Wings, and they have mech already. So if I'm EG, I'm feeling the pressure really, really hard right now.
At the moment, Shadow up on the top lane. I was like Blink, in fact, the Timber still coming around. It's going to attract some of the attention of EG, but EG clears the way. TP's out. Boots of travel now done. But he's still yet to really kind of find the momentum to pick up those Bloodstone charges, as we can see. Already knocked down by that first F down to 8. Get to really start to get the ball rolling. And EG, as we've been saying, are just holding the game in a very good state for themselves, especially with the fact, you know, pretty much a minute ago, Fear picks up the Battle Fury. Now he's sitting on 1,600 gold, and the farm for this anti-mage is certainly going to spiral exponentially. Yeah, very favorably for the side of EG and for Fear.
That's what they need to hope for. I mean, the thing about Weaver is, sure, like you mentioned, the AM is getting farm and he's got his Battle Fury, but he's not really as good at pushing out the waves. He needs more items. He's kind of the hero that needs 2 or 3. Anti-Mage is similar, but Anti-Mage just gets to those 2 or 3 items at an accelerated rate in comparison. So Wings still have a little bit of time to play with here. I would say maybe 1 or 2 more items on the AM and they're going to have to start worrying, and the same thing can be said for the Weaver.
I really see the Wings, they really want to fight, as you said. Yeah, SMY and Dragon Lance both picked up by Shadow for Razor. So all these kind of mid-game, mid-fight orientated items, they're wanting to utilize. See them move over into the jungle of EG, see if they can get some sort of a jump off the back of this smoke, moving across. It's going to be dispelled immediately, jumping in onto PPD, trying to remove the Sky. They'll burst him down. It's going to be PPD gone. For the rest of EG, they'll back out. And at the end of the day, as we can see, you know, bottom lane, Fear farming out the lane. PPD just kind of tanking the smoke gang, and Wings won't find anything else off the back of it other than the Skyrocket.
There is something, too, that we should always keep in mind. Is that Rubik, in this game, there are so many useful spells that you can steal. Like, talking about stealing Burrow on the panel, I think it was Ben who mentioned that. It's obviously amazing, but you can also steal Shikuchi, you can steal AM's Blink, you can steal Ancient Seal. That spell is ridiculously good for locking down heroes and making sure that they do nothing in a fight, so...
Universe trying to work. He's going to Y, Samael. Trying to clear out the wave and back up. We can see Aghanims is more than halfway done on Sand King. Bottom lane being pushed in by Blink. Looks like the rest of Wings will join forces and take this final tier 2. So 23 minutes in, and Wings indeed have managed to remove all tier 2 from the side of EG's map. But the real test is, of course, going to be when they try and get this push up to the high ground. And we'll see how EG are able to react to it.
It's not going to be easy. I think Wings might just try to go for a Roche first. It's not the fastest Roche team in the entire world, but EG would be very hard-pressed, I think, to take a fight in that area. The alternative for Wings is just continue to pressure where you can, try to stop this pesky AM Sphere. He is looking for pretty much anything that he can, might eventually just start cutting waves to try to stop Wings from getting to their side of the map with the creep waves, but it's a difficult game right now because he feels very unsafe really farming out in the open if Wings aren't showing.
We've got eyes on Fear. Why? Doesn't have any follow-up, just telekinesis Fear, and he has, of course, he's got the blink from the AM, so he's going to be happy with that one. Why? And already we can see Wings, maybe see if they could catch out Fear on the retreat, but he's going to simply TP straight out of his own jungle, back to the bottom lane, back to safety, and Wings won't be able to catch him out. And Universe on top of the Linkers, 2.1k gold, still keeping himself up there. The lead, of course, still ahead by both Blink and Shadow when it comes to raw net worth.
EG just want to play the lane game. They have no want whatsoever to just go head-to-head against Wings.
I mean, Wings, are they actually waiting on anything else to come out for them before they go to the high ground? Or do you think we could see them very shortly just try and jump behind towers with the Ravage and such to create space for the push?
I think they're questioning whether or not they're far enough ahead at this point to be able to hit those tier 3s. I mean, waiting for a specific item. I mean, BKBs come to mind, and I think that's probably going to be, yeah, Ice Ice already has the Overcloak, so that's going to be his next choice. That means that if anything other than a Mana Void is thrown at you when you have BKB, you guarantee that your Black Hole is going to be dealing damage and obviously getting that disable going. But we do see another smoke here.
We've got Blink and Ice Ice eyeing up Universe, but EG's coming around behind. It's going to be back, and they'll jump in on Ice Ice with the Burrow Strike and Mystic Flare. on Wings, the two of them kind of messing around up there, questioning whether they could go for a kill, get instantly punished by EG.
They're buying it a lot of time. Like when you kill one of the two, the Tide Hunter or the Enigma, that's pretty much push over, especially if it's the Enigma, because you really need conversions to break that high ground. I think realistically at this point, Wings wanted to be farther ahead than they actually are. EG just did a very good job at reading the map and taking good engagements to kind of stifle Wings' item progression, especially during the early game when Zai was just sitting in the jungle and messing with Ice. Like that Enigma's timing in this game was unbelievably important to get the tier 1s down faster and pressure the AM on the map. But now the Fear is pretty much, you know, he's got his Manta very soon. He's only like 90 gold away from it. Once he has that, you know, the waves are going to start to get pushed more. He's going to feel safer. He can push more aggressively and force Wings to commit more heroes to actually take him off the map. And that's when things start to get really, really stressful for Wings.
They really are. Of course, this is a game as well where, okay, catching out Fear, Ravage comes as well. They want to kill him and they'll get it. The exact kind of catch that Wings needs to be finding. At a point where he was very close to the Manta style. He's going to be knocked back a few hundred bit. But the perfect pick for Wings. But still, they need to get something else. So they're going to look towards Roche. As you said with yourself, it's not going to be the quickest of Roche downs. A couple of Ylons in the pit helping out.
But everyone on their team is so tanky, right? I mean, Blink is tanky, Faithion's tanky, that is tanky. It's a low-risk Roche, especially when the AM is dead. They're just going to try to do everything they can, EG, to make sure the lanes are being pushed out. They're going to, at the very least, trade a tier 1. It's not the best, but it's what they can get right now.
And Wings, and will get away with this with the Aegis. We'll see if they then push. I mean, can they push just with the Aegis, or do they need to then wait again for Faithion to have the Ravage, or are they starting to feel the heat, feel the pressure, and they just need to go now?
I think you wait BKB still. Right now, Shadow's getting very close to his BKB, and so is Ice. So once those are done, I think they're going to be feeling relatively confident, because at least then, if an Epicenter comes in and you double pop BKB, you can maybe try to disengage if the fight's not going favorably for you. You can TP out, stuff like that. Maybe force a bad mana void for Fear. But for now, I think that Wings are still doing alright. It's just always in the back of your mind, even if you kill the AM like 2 or 3 times, their lineup on the side of Wings, it's really, really difficult for them to go and hit tier 3s if they're not very far ahead in terms of farm. And at this point in the game, with their lineup, they're still probably not feeling as confident as they want to.
You certainly gave the space and time to work with the lineup and get it in a very, very comfortable position. And as you said, as the game goes on, it's only going to be harder for Wings to find this perfect teamfight execution and be able to jump up into the base and push it down. As EG's cores going from strength to strength, we will indeed see the BKB peaks for the side of Wings, and maybe that'll be enough for them to jump into the fights and try and crush EG before it gets too late. But EG certainly holding very good composure this game. Desolator complete on Universe as well, so they're going to be able to hit back very hard, EG. And it certainly feels like with EG's draft as well, they've got a good balance of team fight and just late game right-click potential.
They have a very good damage spread with their heroes, it's very true. Sometimes you see a huge magic damage composition and you're like, okay, if I buy BKB, we're good. Scan, it's gonna hit here. 4-man smoke coming in from Wings.
So they can get the jump on Ice. Look at the side versus Zai. Comes across wall, Faithion! They're with the Blink Ravage. Universe is gonna be able to get himself away with the Lincoln Sphere. Zai gonna be focused by Wings. They'll take down Io. So they can catch themselves anything more. Somehow, Burrow striking away, Blinks back to base, but Telekinesis on the PvD. It's get forced back. It won't catch him either. So only finding Zai. Did have to commit Ravage for that one. They've still got Black Hole available. Wings with the creep wave coming in on the middle lane to see how heavy they can push this in and see what EG do in response. Fear?
He's cutting the creep wave. What he needs to do right now. Taking a fight at this stage for EG is so difficult.
Fortification will be forced out. 10 seconds now. We'll be back inside. Just have a relocate. So if someone wants to go for a very aggressive play, Side can be there with a save. Mibrax now exposed. Wings continuing to push in. See what EG chance is going to be. Jump in from Samel. Burrow drives onto 2. Trying to focus the magic harassment down to Blink. It doesn't get too much about it here. Faithion in the front line of Shadow, forcing Universe to back off.
The front line's just too tanky. EG don't want to engage this. They can't pop an Epicenter and go in yet. But Fear, cutting the creep wave, he does eventually force Wings to go back. Back row protection kicks in. That'll be the end of this push.
Absolute little plays like that from Fear, keeping EG in good stead and making sure the rats remain. 2 2 minutes left to play with the Aegis as well, so we see if Wings can do something else with that again. Ravage will be back in about a minute, so they will have 1 minute to work with Ravage and Aegis. But they've got to be very aware of Fear, cutting the creep waves, working his way around the map. BKB pretty much nearly done as well on Ice, so BKB, Ravage, Aegis, Wings, that could be the potential to really go for a push mid and not have to worry about Fear cutting the creep wave if they're able to kill the rest of his team. Jumping in for some air onto face beyond. The illusions as well, jumping down the mana. Wise trying to close the gap with the Shikuchi. Blink comes in, they've got the telekinesis to BPD. They'll bring down the Skyraft, and oh, that's a gem as well. That is a gem as well. So good pick from Wings.
Yeah, but Fear again. All they have to do is kill the creep wave, and they won't be able to push. Right now, Wings, they can't go across the river. So the support kill, it doesn't really mean that much if Fear is just able to continually play this way. The problem that Wings are having right now is they really want to be as 5, but in order to kill Fear, they need to commit a lot of heroes. So when you're committing a lot of heroes to kill the AM, you're not pushing, which is what Wings' game plan is supposed to be.
Fair.
This is just... You can tell that he's feeling more and more confident now, having, you know, the extra 3,000 gold, the Manta on top of that. He understands that it's very difficult for Wings to deal with him at this point.
It's got to be very frustrating for Wings, but very, very good news for EG. If he is able to do this, create this space, make it very hard for Wings to commit to a full 5-man push, indeed without finding a pick-off onto the air. Very, very elusive anti-mage. As Fear, of course, whilst this all goes on, just racking up lots of gold, 3.2k on top of the Manta and Battle Fury. They've got to do something about this anti-mage, but it could eventually just get too late for that to happen. As you said, Wings need to commit an ult or two to actually have a chance of killing him.
The dynamic of the game is changing slowly but surely in favor of EG just because of the hero compositions. Wings are struggling because they just don't have enough pick-off potential, and Fear's gonna dodge another gank. I don't know if he was necessarily in a lot of trouble there. I don't think that Fates Beyond's gonna be throwing out a Ravage with just the Enigma in the area.
You see the blink. Max will be the pickup next for him. 3/4 of the way through. Universe, whilst this all goes on still, racking up gold, 2.6k. I mean, he himself, do you think we'll see more damage come out from Universe? Does he need a BKB this game, or will BKB and Lincoln's be a bit overkill?
I think BKB Lincoln's is actually okay because of the state of the game right now. So if it was a game where Wings were breaching high ground, then I would say he might need another item to deal damage because the cores of Wings are just so tanky. But in this game where the pace is slowed down dramatically because of Fear split pushing and creep cutting, I think it's fine to pretty much, you know, buy an item if you want to just be super safe and make sure that you can just pressure the lanes even more. Because even at this point, if for whatever reason Wings get to EG's base and they have creeps, and the creeps don't die and Fear's not like cutting away somewhere, they will just get the racks. Because EG don't have the damage in the AoE teamfight to be able to stop Wings from hitting the buildings. But EG's game plan is to never let it get to that point. Don't let Wings get to your high ground ever. Just split up the map as much as you can, get farm, and eventually the Weaver and the AM will overwhelm.
As we can see, Fate Beyond, level 16, only a few hundred gold away from refreshers. And that could be the trick to catching EG out.
Well, it's something that he needs in this game. Like, when you have a very ultimate comprised lineup of Black Hole and Ravage, you need to make sure that those ultimates result in a huge objective. And the best way to do that is to just have 2 of them. So 2 Ravages, 2 Black Holes. Pretty much means that if you get the perfect fight, you can do pretty much a ridiculous amount of crowd control between the 2 heroes.
In terms of dealing with the way that Wings is playing as well, what do you imagine Fear's going to be picking up next for the anti-mage build? It's got 4.6k gold.
I feel like he has a lot of options, honestly. Like, he can go the tanky route, you know, he can make a BKB, he can make the standard Abyssal Blade, he can go Butterfly, he can go hard, he can pretty much buy whatever he wants. It just depends on like what he feels is best for the situation. Does he want more farm? Does he want the pick-off potential of the Abyssal Blade when Wings come back to try to gank him? There's a lot of ways that you can do it, but I think BKB is overall super safe. Probably lets him play the style of Dota that he wants, which is, you can never kill me, and I'm just going to make sure you never push our buildings. But yeah, the choice is his.
First time he's come out around the top lane, EG scanned out the movement from that rotation. So EG backing away, back towards the mid lane. And EG being very careful about the fights that they choose to take. As we said, they themselves don't seem to feel the pressure too much now.
That's going to be the BKB.
Okay, so EG now more well kitted up to take these fights and to allow Fear to jump in and contribute when Wings come in with a push.
I think he actually just buys it in response to where Wings are on the map, because if you look, he's going to have to cut the creep wave again. He does have a TP, but Wings are already going towards high ground, and they do not want to lose racks if they don't have to, so BKB is a necessary choice.
BKB for Samael as well. It's all coming together for EG. See what they're able to do about this Shadow. Slowly bringing down mid-rack. Samael gets to jump into Graphic at the back line. He's putting the middle. Oh! Universe got the BKB off in time. They've lost PPD. But Fear jumps forward. Samael with the epicenter return fire. There's a buyback from Zai. Ice backing off. EG, they've lost Spear as well. He does not have buyback available because of the BKB investment. Wings. They're
They
not going to stick around.
Yeah, the Shadow's way too low. He's at like 10-20% health. They didn't end up getting the racks, but they did kill the AM.
And
that was an amazing black hole.
And they've got another Ravage available. He popped the refreshers, but didn't need to use it. Now made that Ravage! Come across. He's got to tether himself away. But
that's
now,
60 seconds with no Sand King.
No buyback for Samael. No buyback for Fear. The mid-racks are free for the taking for the looks of it. Wings pushing in. EG, they've only got 3 members alive. What can they do to stop this?
The heroes are just so tanky, they can't do anything. Like, how are you going to kill a Timbersaw without your Sand King, without your AM? How are you going to kill Fate Beyond? Wings is taking the racks.
They've got it, and with the AC complete on Shadow, this push is going to be amped up. Fear's going to be back in the game. We'll see if he can do anything, but still without the initiation potential from Samael Sand King. It's going to be a hard defense. Tier 3 falling fast. Fortification comes down from EG. See what they can do about this. Looking to try and force that thing, but as you said, they're so damn tanky. Wings not phased at all. Universe looking for Shadow. And because it's Pop Fear, jumping in, looking towards the Tyrant. They're backing off. Now telekinesis off the Fear. There's the follow-up. Doesn't look like it, but blink.
Oh, Zai!
Dropped down by the Shadcram. IO's out for 60 on Wings. Find half of the bottom racks. EG seeming to struggle with the pressure that Wings are putting on. Wings, they've got the tools together. PPD's down. There, BKB pop looking to fight in, but BKB's coming back up for Wings. Samael with the epicenter ultra wide. Can't kill the Rubik though, has to get himself out now. Pops the BKB runs, but Wings, no change himself. Oh, Universe goes out to go. GG! And Wings! Absolutely impeccable play. EG, they're getting the farm on their course, but Wings, they just needed that one push, that one fight, that one excellent bit of teamwork to shut the game down, and they did it. Wings they knew exactly how to work with their job.
The itemization on their squad too, you have to give nothing but props to them. A lot of them buy